Hi everyone, very good evening to all of you watching this video. So in this video, we are going to describe how we are supposed to use Docker. We are going into dive into a few concepts such as what is a data node, what is a name node, what are containers, what are images, how we're going to use them, how do you log in to Docker, and how you perform certain operations. So without wasting any time, let us start with the Docker programming, and let's see how we can use it for computation of big data. So if you can look into my screen here, you can see the Docker desktop. So this is, I'm using the current program on the MacBook. So you can install the application first of all. It's easily available on the website of Docker. So if you're using a Windows platform, you can download the same from their website for the Windows version. Or if you're using a Mac, you'll be able to download the same from the same website itself. So as you can see, let me start from the beginning. This is the desktop that you can see. So this is some option that you have here called as a container. You have something called as images. So these are the two options which we will mainly be working on today. So you have two options to run this. The first one is you can use your command prompt, or let's say the terminal, where you'd be able to execute the codes. But I'm going to use terminal or the command prompt, which is available on the desktop application itself. So this can be used so that you can see real time as to how your containers are being done or how your images are being pulled, and all those things can be seen here real time. So first of all, to log in to your prompt, you can use the command docker login new, and again enter your username, which is available on Docker. So your username will be available here. As you can see, this is my username. So that's what I'll be entering here. Once this is done, you can move to the password section. So you can enter your password, which will not be visible over here. But once you enter it, you'll say that the login has been succeeded. So the first step that we are going to do here will be we're going to pull the image, which is the in the name node container. Okay. So for pulling the image, we will be using the command docker pull pd2020 slash name node. Go to the version 2.0.0 into Hadoop 3.2.1 Java Java 8. So once you do this here, you'll be able to see that your system is pulling out images and doing the required downloads. So you'll have to wait maybe let's say like 15 seconds to 30 seconds, depending on the processor and the speed that your system is working on. So once that is done, here in the images, you can see that the name node is already done. So once we have completed the name node, next we go to pull the data node. So to do that, you can use the same command, that is pull pd 2020 new to. data node. Sleep. Oh, hmm, 1 slash Java 8. Once you do this, you'll be completing the pull for the same. So then we are going to create a Docker network. All right. So to do the same, you're supposed to enter the command create a do net. So you get another response here, but that's okay. It's because I've already pulled it once, or the network within my system is already existing. But if you are doing it for the first time, they'll say that yes, your data network, Docker network for Hadoop has successfully been created. So once you do this, let's check and inspect the element. So you have to see that there's a certain section called as container, which will be available on the code. So for that, you'll have to go with inspect. You'll be getting a code in such a way. So in such a way that they'll say what is the name, what is the ID, when it was created, what is the scope, what is drivables, and all the other details. This is the main section that you'll have to focus on, saying that if the containers are shown or not. So once you inspect and you see that your images are ready for containers, so containers have not been created yet over here. So we go to this section, and now we're going to start by running the name node. So you can see here that we have a name node and we have a data node. So name node is mostly the main node, and data nodes are the ones where the data is being stored. So let us go forward with running the name node. So it's a pretty lengthy command. So I have it already with me, which I'll be posting in the description so that you guys can use it later on when you are trying this out. Okay. So you can see that rocker run D. Okay. And then you have the name node, network, which is Hadoop.net. And this is the ports that we are going to use, 9870 with 900. And cluster name would be my cluster, HDFS name node, RPC port. What is the default? Name node, again the image that you have pulled. So once you do this, you'll get a warning most probably, but you can see the container that your name node is being created right now. So once this is done, you move forward with the creation of the data node. All right. So again, the code for the same is pretty lengthy. So I'll be posting it in the description for your perusal later. All right. So again, it's Docker run name node, data node, DE, network, Hadoop.net. Again, you have the core configuration settings with what name node, what image 2020 that we just created over here will be done. And what are you running it on? Data node 2.2.2 Hadoop, 3.2.1 Java. So you can see that another data node is being created. So if you want to create multiple once again, what you can do is you can just again go back to the same code and so we have one data node here already. So you click on two. So data node 2 is being created. Let's say that we are creating one more. All right. So I change the name of the data node again to the third data node that we are running. This be the third data node. So you can see that the data node is being created in real time. So this is what I was talking about earlier. That is, you'll be able to do this in real time, and you'll be able to see what are the changes that is happening within your Docker when you are running the terminal here. So that is why I prefer to use my terminal within my application itself, so that it goes hand in hand. All right. So the next step is basically to find the folders or the Excel files that you want to run a process on. So it is suggested that you have at least 3 to 4 different files within your laptop so that you can use it later on. So the most important part that we'll have to be doing here is, before that, I'd like to show you that you're having 2 ports over here, and we'll be processing in the same. All right. So as we were discussing, we are having the ports over here. So if you click on over here, you can see that these are the different ports that are available. So if you want to see how many nodes are running and what are the data nodes, you can just click on this, which will redirect you to a website. Let me just share the screen for you. Give me a second. So if you're looking here, you can see the overview of the name node that is currently active. And you scroll down, you can see that you're having 3 nodes that are commissioned currently, which being one being the name node and the second 2 being the data node. So you can say that you can show that they are the live nodes which is available, and they'll show you all the other aspects of your configuration within the same screen. And then we go back to our Docker website, sorry, the application that we're using. And then we continue with the program that we were doing. So we are in the process currently of loading the CSV file. So what is a CSV file? CSV file is nothing but an Excel file which you have, and then you're supposed to change the extension to .csv so that your current platform is able to read the certain thing. And we are going to use the command called as docker cp, which will be used. So here, what you'll have to be entering is so you'll have docker cp, and then within hash codes, you'll be entering the path of the file which has to be loaded to your system. And before doing that, it is advised, or let us check how you can make certain files, or because within the name node itself, now we'll have to create a certain directory. Okay, so we'll be creating the directory first, and once the directory is created, we will be posting the CSV file into that file that we have created, or the directory that we have created within the certain name node. So for doing that, let's have a look at the list of root directories that are already in a container. Okay, so for the command for that would be docker execute ls, sorry, name node ls. So you'll be able to see that these are the directories that are currently there within your file. So if you want to see which are these directories, you just click on name node, and then you go to files, and then you go here. So you'll be able to see that these are the certain things that you will already be having within your system here. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to currently make a directory. Okay, so I will be creating 2 directories for you inside this so that you can see how the directories are being created. Okay, so for creating a directory, we'll be using the command docker it, sorry, execute it. Then in name node, we will be make directory, and what will be the name of that would be data. All right. So that is that. Again, let's use the same command, docker execute it name node. Let's make another directory. All right. Let's call it files. So how this command works is that you go to files here, and again you can see that the data wasn't there here earlier, or the files were there over here. So if you want to see the list of all the files that are there within your name node, you can again use the same command, which is docker execute name node list. So here from the previous one, you can see that there was no data and files over here. But if you scroll down here again, you'll be able to see that you're having your data and the file that we have just created. Files are here. Okay. So the next part would be to copy the certain CSV file into the, so we'll be using docker cp, which is a command, and then within double quotes, and we have to post it to name node within data. So to find the path, I'm already, so you know that you just go to the file and you click on that, and the address that you get of the path is the actual path. So I've copied and kept the path already over here. So we will be copying that directly here. Okay. Once you do this, it will show you the command that successfully you have copied 2.05 KB of data to the data file, which is within the container name node. Okay. Similarly, I'm having, so basically we are analyzing the data of restaurants here. So we have a few files such as customers, orders, restaurant details, delivery boy details, and all those things. So we will be copying the same. So you can see how it is being done over here. So click on docker cp again. So we have a few files here, which will be copied to name node data. Okay, let's do this once again. For the next one that we have, which is the orders detail. That is also successfully copied. And let's copy one more file so that we have enough data to manipulate and play with. Name node data. So you can see that all the 4 files that we are having is currently being copied. So if you want to see a list of details that is there within the folder data, which is in your name node, you can again use the execute command, docker execute it name node ls data. Yes, data. So here you can see that the 4 files have been loaded into the same. So the 4 files you have here are customer table, delivery drivers, orders, and restaurants. So these are the files. Again, if you click on name node over here, you go to file, you click on data, that is the file that you've currently loaded it to. You can see that these 4 files have been loaded into your dock. All right. So next would be the step where we are going to add the folders to our HDFS. Okay, so make sure that we are having running name node and data node containers when we are doing the same. All right, so the prompt to view the directories of HDFS first of all would be docker exec it name node HDFS DFS, and we have to see the list and it says it doesn't give us any response. The reason is because we have not yet loaded anything into the HDFS interface, because of which this is showing. So first what we are going to do is we are going to create a directory within our HDFS so that we can load all these files into the HDFS. So where do you load it into in the HDFS? You have to load it into the specific directory that you are creating over here. All right, so let us continue with creating IT name node HDFS DFS. Then you go with the command make directory, and then you can give a specific name into which you want to be posting these details. So let us make a directory within DFS. Let's say, let's call it table. All right. So now you'd be able to see that this is being created within that. So now again, if you want to see what is there within that one, you can see that. Just give me a second. Yeah. So you can see that this has been run over here. So we will be checking with that, and the Docker execute IT name node SDFS will be running over here. All right. So our next step would be to add all these details, execute all these HDFS driver details within the name node. Okay. So we have to create a new directory in HDFS and create a list of all the 4 files that we have just created. So for doing that, we will be, I will show you what is a command for that. Let's make sure that the spellings are correct, or else it will be giving us error response. All right. So the mistake that we had done here was that the spelling of name node was wrong. All right. That's why it said that there is no called name node. It's name node. Docker execute IT name node DFS DFS ls. All right. So it will give you a complete list. Oh, this is an error. So anyways, let us move forward to see what is the rest of the things that we'll have to do. Here, the important thing that you'll have to look into is that you are making a directory called as table so that we can be able to put in all the rest of the details into this. All right. So here we are going next with Docker execute IT. Again, name node DFS make directory table. And what would be the first one that we have just made? It would be the customer. So let us make a table for, so we have 4 data here: customer, delivery, orders, and restaurant. So we start with customer, mkdir table. And customer. Similarly, we are going to make 4 directories to put in all the 4 files that we just have. Make directory within table for, which is the next file that we have uploaded. That is delivery. You can see that that is being created. And next we go with the same command again, execute IT name node fs dfs make directory with table for orders. And again, we'll be doing it for the restaurants. Right? And once we are done with this, we'll be trying to see what are the different details that we're having over here. So we'll go with Docker execute IT DFS DFS ls. So it says that you have found one item. All right. So that one item is the item called as table, and it is within table that we have loaded all the other four things that are there over here. So as you can see, we are in the part where we have found one item and we have found that the certain one is already there. So next we want to see within the same rooted subgroup, what are the other data, what are the other data that is it that we are having. So for this, we'll have to again execute the command docker exec cube it name node fs dfs ls table, because table is a subgroup that we had created. So we'll be able to see that there is a customer, there is a file called table, and we are having file called tables, and within the same we have customer, delivery, order, and response that we have pasted within, or we have created within the same name node as a table. So these are the things that we are currently having. Okay. So now the next step would be to add the current CSV files into the Docker container. Okay. So to add the files from the Docker container to HDFS, okay, we are going to use a certain command called as put. So the command will put something like this. Okay. So the entire command would look something like Docker execute name node HDFS DFS. Then we put the option called as put from data. What is the name of a file? You'll have to exactly copy the name of your file, that is table.csv, to put data, put the customer underscore table.csv from data to table, and within table, what is the name of the file that you have? Customer again underscore this. So you'll be having here, when it says false, it usually doesn't mean that it's a mistake. It's just that a few configurations are being configured inside, so we do not basically have to worry about that. Okay. So again, we'll have to do the same thing for the remaining four files that we have. Okay. That is Docker, execute, name node, HDFS, DFS, and put data. What's the name of a second file? That is delivery to table. And what is the name of the file that we had created there? Delivery. Delivery. Again, the name of the file. So the first path is the file that you want to store, and the second path is the file that you want to create in HDFS by putting the first file in its place. So your data node should be running because DFS only stores data in the data node and not in the name node. So we have to be very careful about this. So we have to make sure that our name node and our data node is running while this process is being done. Okay, so let us do this for the next two things as well. Docker, execute, name node, data, and the name of a third one is orders, and we have to put it in which one? Table. And what is the name of that? Orders. Okay, and next we go to Docker, execute, name node, HDFS, DFS, put data, and the name of the fourth one would be restaurants to table, table, and what is the name of the fourth one that we have? That is restaurants. So there is an error here because instead of HDFS, we put it as DHFS. So let us get that changed. Okay, so that is done now. Here, false does not mean that your command is false. Your command works and you can move on to the next step that I had just mentioned earlier. All right, so our next step would be to view the contents in each of the file because we want to check what are the contents that we have in each of our files. So if put was the command that we used to change from one to the other, the next step that we use, or the next command that would be used, we would be using is something called as cat. Okay, so it is again Docker execute name node EFS cat. We go to what is the name table. Within table, our file was the first name of the file that we used to have was customer table customer, and again we'll have to copy the name of the CSV file that we have here. So you'll be able to see that I'm in within this file, which I have not opened earlier. I thought I would not be opening the Excel file earlier itself so that I can show you guys what is the content within the command prompt or the terminal itself so that you can check that too with how the commands will be able to check it out. So you'll know that we in this table, we are having customer ID, name, email, phone, and address. So customer ID here would be 101. Name would be John Doe, john.doe at the rate gmail.com. Okay. And then we have 456, whatever their phone number is. And then we have their address. So let us open and check the contents of each of the files that we are having within the same. Okay. So let's go with execute name node, HDFS, DFS, cat, table. The next file that we were having was delivery. And we go to the file name, that is delivery drivers.csv. You can see again the driver ID, name, phone, vehicle type. Okay. And their order ID or this respective one that the customer would be doing is being available over here for us. Okay. So the next step would be to check the contents of the other thing itself. So Docker execute name node, EFS, DFS, cat, table. Next one is orders and orders table.csv. So you can see the contents of the file again, like order ID, customer ID, everything is available. So let us, without wasting time, let's go for the next one itself. Docker execute name node, HDFS, DFS, cat, table. And the fourth one would be restaurant. The name of the file would be .csv. Hmm, maybe some mistake in the spelling of restaurant. So we have named it as restaurant. So we have to make sure that the name is exact. Otherwise, they'll not be able to catch the path for you. You can see that you're having a restaurant ID, name, is the cuisine. Okay, what is the cuisine type? What is the city? And what is the rating for each of the cuisine within each of the city for the respective restaurant that we have selected. So we have successfully viewed the content of the file that we are having over here. Okay, all right. So now we are going to the step of setting up Hive on Docker. So, okay, so the command for this basically would be Docker pull PDE 2020 Hive slash Hive. So again, if you guys remember, we had pulled the image initially, so there was a certain level of downloads that had to be done earlier. So here also the same step is happening again. So we have to eventually wait till the download is being completed because it is downloading the same from a certain criteria or it is downloading or it is basically pulling the image. So it is basically going to take some time. So we have to wait patiently for the same. So once the pull is done, so we'll be having the option for the same. So now we are going to run the Docker container basically. So for the command for that would be Docker run d W9 name, and we go to Hive server Again, network. We have to specify the network here right now. Network, Hadoop, net, and what is the image? BD 2020 Hive, and which one? Latest. So the command that we have run here is, it's just a warning, it's not a false thing. Okay, so docker run d double line name, then you have the Hive server space name, okay, and then Hive dot server again here, space network, and what is the Hadoop net space PD 2020 Hive latest. Okay, so next is a step which goes a little too deep or technical. Okay, so we have to edit the Hive site.xml file in the opt to configure the Hive's metastore within the embedded Turby database by adding the necessary connection properties. So, okay. So for doing this, what we'll have to be doing is we'll have to see that we are having, by the way, we can see that the Hive server is ready over here. You click on Hive, you go to files, and you go to something called as opt, and then you go to Hive. There's something called as the hive.xml, sorry, configuration. And you go to hive site.xml, and you right click on this, and then you have to edit the file. Okay. So you can see that there's a certain code over here. So what you do is just select on it, Command A, next. And there's a certain code which I'll be posting in the description for your perusal. All right. So what you can do is you can copy it, and then you can just paste it into the Sublime text over here. You paste it over here completely. Okay, so that's basically a configuration for the Hive Metastore schema verification that you'll have to be using so that it will be working on later. So once you do that, you save it. Okay, so you can see that the hive.xml is being modified, and then you just close it. All right. All right. So after this, what we'll be doing is we have to set up of Hive on Docker is what we'll be doing basically. All right. So now that the configuration is set, we have to initialize the Metascore schema by running Docker execute it. What is it now? Hive server. And where was it? In the opt Hive bin schema tool. Schema tool space init schema. Again, space small d capital small d small b db type would be derby. Okay. So you will be getting the Metastore connection URL over here. You'll be getting the driver, and you will understand that okay, it's an app that is which it is being used. So we have to starting the Metascore schema initialization. So once it is done, once the schema is initialized, you can start the Hive Metastore service. So for that, you go with to initialize it, you go with Docker execute it again with the Hive server, Hive server Let me just check it over here. Yeah, you have to go to the thing again. Opt, Hive, pin. Again, Hive, opt, Hive, bin, Hive, double line service. Then you go to Meta Store, and then you click on space and. All right. So once this is done, we'll have to do Control plus C to stop the process and execute our next command. So then we open Hive. To open the Hive shell with the advanced setting, we need to find the IP address of the name node. Okay, so for that, we have to use the tool called Docker inspect. Okay, and then there's a certain command which again I'll be posting in the description for your perusal. So even a space matters over here. So I'm just cross-verifying if the number of space and everything is correct or not. So once you do this, you understand that this is the port that you're using, that is 17.18.0.2. If the answer is 17.18.0.2 or any other number, add the IP address to the following command. Your IP address may be affected when you are doing this. Okay, so the next step to move to your Hive would be to Docker execute IT again. Hive server, same thing. Opt Hive pin Hive. Okay, and then there is a Hive configuration, certain configuration that you will have to enter each time you have to enter into Hive from the system. So that would be this. I think there is a mistake in the command. Let me just try it out once again. The complete one. So we are logging using the initialized configuration in the file. Okay, so this is how you are successfully within the Hive sequence, and this is where we'll be able to basically add any type of SQL commands that you require. So once you do this, you'll be able to run certain SQL commands, and then you'll be able to get the output that you require. So once we have set up the Hive right now, you can see that you are in the Hive container. So what you have to do to get back to your command prompt or the prompt that you were doing, so as to check a few details if it was correct or not, would be you have to click on Control C. And click on this. You have to click on Control C. So you will be back to your command prompting action. So now to check the HDFS structure that we have just created, what we will have to be doing is we will have to enter the command docker execute name node HDFS DFS ls capital R space. So here you'll be able to see that first we had a table, and table customer, and table customer dot CSV. Then we had our delivery tables dot CSV. Then we had the orders.csv, and then you have the amp hive and hive root file, which is over there. So again, next to check what are the direct folders that we are having, we'll have to execute docker execute name node HDFS TFS ls. Here you can see that what are your root super groups. You'll be able to see that there's a table and then there's a temporary file that is available over there. Okay. So now again, we'll have to enter the same command that is there with the IP address that is available, so that you enter the Hive module now. All right. So once you do this, you'll make sure that you are in the Hive structure right now. Okay. Now you have to go to the command saying show tables. You have to wait for some time because it is being processed by Hive. And you have to wait for a while because it is being processed over here. So you can say that it is being failed over here at this moment because there are no tables that are currently created within this. So now what we have to do for each of the file is that you have to design or define the structure of each of the um, column. That is, let us say if it is an ID, it has to be an integer. If it is a name, it has to be a string format, and so on. And if it is has options having both, it should be, float and variable characters. So all those things have to be defined for the same. So for that, you will have to create an external table with that certain name. And then you have to ensure that each of those things are having their specific names in it. All right. So for that, there is a certain command. Let me just show it to you. I have it already with me. So there is a slight failure that is happening over here because of an unexpected error. So let us try a different command. Give me a second. Location. So we have to specify the location as well. Let's try with a different command this time. I'm exactly not sure as to why it is not loading the location and the table properties. If it fails, let us try again because failure is a stepping stone to success, right? So I have specified the location and the table properties, but it is not pulling it together. Cannot recognize near. It is taking a few commands that I had entered earlier. Mm. So yeah, the basic step would be to so if you want to have an explanation or a breakdown of what we are doing over here, we have a row format delimited, which means it is used for plain text files where fields are specified by a specific delimiter. Then you have a field terminated by, which indicates that each column in a row is separated by a semicolon. Stored as a text file in the sense that the data is stored as a plain text. Each row in the text file corresponds to a row in the Hive table. Okay. Location means that specifies the path in the HDFS. And the table properties means that the metadata properties for the table. It tells Hive to ignore the first line of the data. For example, if it's a header, row, or what is the column name, and things like that. Let us try that again. I'm unsure as to why the entire data or the command is not coming over here, but rest assured, you can be assured that this is the step in which you will have to continue so that you can create the tables for all the ones that you can be doing earlier. Okay. So yeah, that is it from my side, guys. Thank you for spending your time and watching this video. Hope this has added at least some kind of value to your preparation towards the path of studying for doc. All right. Thank you.